Hello. The Absolute Football Podcast is here to bring smiles to your Mondays. It's all very Monday-ish, but we're here and we're happy because there's not football to talk about, but we're almost there. We've almost made it to this long summer of no football. We have an excited day of cricket. Well done, Stuart Broad, today. So we're all absolutely buzzing because it's the Absolute Football Podcast, and I can't just chat to myself for like an hour or so. So I've got a couple of guests with me. I'm not going with songs this week, Shah. Limericks. I've got limericks for you this week. There was a young woman from Rochdale who was more famous than Gareth Bale. I've really lost count how much she loves Mason Mount. Please, can she have his email? Charlotte, welcome to the podcast.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
I loved it. I'm really good, thank you. I was really happy at the fact that you called me young for starters, so I'm buzzing with that. And then it got better. I know it got better when you mentioned Mason Mount as well. But yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to football season. Not long left, obviously, for us, and then the Premier League. So I'm getting really excited. How are you?
I'm very good. It's not long at all, is it? It really isn't long. So for you, you're Saturday night, aren't you? You've got the TV slot for Rochdale. So extremely excited. The National League is back. EFL is back. And say, welcome to the chat. Chris Welsh has joined us in the chat. He subbed last night. Thank you for the sub. You can subscribe to the video. Like what we're doing. It'd be absolutely superb. And he's a Carlisle fan. So big game for you this weekend started. And of course, it's not just Charlotte. And I've got a limerick for you as well, Dan. Don't you worry. We don't leave you out. There was a young man called Dan, and this podcast is a massive fan. Down at Turf Moor, they all fall to the floor because he's Burnley's most handsome man. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, look at that.
We're grabbing early.
I mean, you can't say much better than that. Oh, definitely. And you like, if they didn't come out of a cracker, you've been on the dodgiest grabber ever to pull them out. I'll tell you that now.
It's an absolute shame. It wasn't like I had traffic on the way back from work and I had something to occupy my mind as we were going. And so we are live on YouTube and Twitch and on Facebook as well, and on audio. If you're listening on audio, we can join us in the chat when you're live. And Graham joins us in the chat, says, evening all Charlton fan here. Hopefully we'll get to the end of this podcast without changing owner. So, well, depends how long we go.
I best not speak then.
Shah's been known to sort of kick an owner or two out during the podcast in the time. But we're here today to talk about what's been going on in the world of football. Hence, we have Dan from Turf Moor Has TV, of course. We've done a Burnley episode in the past, and he's been on the podcast before. It's a very exciting time for you, isn't it, Dan? It's almost here, your Premier League return.
It is. And these randomly generated fixtures that they keep going on about, but you shook us up against Man City on TV to open up the Premier League. Clearly randomly generated. But that said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the season starting, a bit of structure coming back to the weekends. And yeah, it'll be a nice break away from the fact that there's 6 manic weeks with children. So, something to just say, look, just leave Daddy alone. I've got something, and I just need to watch this, okay?
It's 2 hours. Well, the Manchester City on day one is not going to be as relaxing as you were hoping.
Oh, perhaps. Mate, I'll probably be in the back room playing with the kids after 10 minutes when we're already 4-0 down. So,
There you go. They're there for something, see. Good distraction for children. It's what's needed. And of course, we'll come on to Burnley in a moment because we're going to talk about what's happened in the transfer world. The transfers keep ticking, lots of things going on. But I want to start with today, Harry Kane. We've discussed Harry Kane over multiple times during the transfers. So many times. Is he going? Is he staying? What's happening? It seems like there's one club in for his signature in terms of Bayern Munich. The latest seems to be that they're still apart on a fee because Daniel Levy loves a fee. He loves a fee, and Bayern haven't quite met it. They're talking of Sadio Mane going to Saudi Arabia and recouping some of that money to bring Harry Kane. Charlotte, do you think, is he going to go, or are we going to see him in a Tottenham shirt come the first day of the season?
Do you know what? I feel like there's always an ongoing saga with Harry Kane, like no matter what transfer window it is, and he always ends up staying at Spurs. But I just think with his contract, obviously, is up, isn't it, next season? So I do think he's going to go. I personally think he is going to go Bayern Munich. It would be nice to still see him in the Premier League. Obviously, he's been linked to Manchester United, but I don't think they've got the finances to obviously sign him. And obviously, I won't get onto it because I think we are talking about it after, but they are after another striker, aren't they? So, yeah, I do reckon he's going Bayern Munich, to be honest. And with Mane going as well, I think it just opens the way for him, doesn't it?
Yeah, Bayern obviously have been keen. They've been keen all summer. They've been trying to sort of force in. They seem to be very, very confident as well. The board are talking that they think will happen, and certainly transfer windows bring all kind of things. Chris is talking in the chat here saying he believes it's so overhyped. The deadline day nonsense, seeing people over social media arguing, think it's career mode. Yeah, it's absolutely. It's just to keep us entertained during the summer. I don't like the fact that we start the season and the window's open, though. This is to cover our summer of the nonsense. Start on day one. We've all got fantasy teams and things like that to sort out. Let's not have any of this nonsense. 2 weeks after you start your season and then you have a bad result and it panics. Let's get it all done. But yeah, I think Harry Kane to Bayern Munich, it still doesn't seem. I still can't picture it, if you know what I mean. It just would seem odd, I think, probably because it's very rare you see an English player go abroad. But Dan, Harry Kane to Bayern Munich, do you think it's happening?
If he wants to look at his career now and think it's last chance to learn. I mean, at Spurs, he's played everywhere. He's even had to play in the net, for Christ's sake. And still, they nearly chucked that game as well. But the thing is with Spurs and Kane, it's more of a loyalty thing. We saw with Messi. I think a lot of people thought Messi was going to stay at Barcelona for the rest of his career, or if not, return back to Argentina at the latter stages. But Kane needs to get some success. He's not going to want to look back on his career and go, yeah, I got to a final with England, we lost. I've been to finals with Spurs and lost. I actually want to be seen as a winner. And if he can help, get Bayern Munich over a line, over the likes of, RB Leipzig and Borussia Dortmund, then for me, it's a no-brainer. If I was in Harry Kane's shoes right now, I'd be off to Germany.
I think the question is, I mean, the thing that I think is a bit strange when you look at Harry Kane and the legacy, like we're all saying he needs a trophy and he's so getting close to that Premier League record. The Bundesliga doesn't have that, particularly over here and in the media, doesn't have that stigma, does it? They see it's seen as simple for Bayern Munich to win. Are we going to see him any differently if he wins a Bundesliga? I think he's going to have to win a Champions League, I think, for us to really take it seriously, I'd imagine, Shah. Do you think the Bundesliga will be enough?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, to be honest, because obviously it's one of them things where I know we're all familiar with the Bundesliga, but obviously it's not like it is here, like winning the Premier League trophy, is it? Where like everyone goes mental, even like the FA Cup and things like that. So yeah, I do kind of agree with that. But at the same time, I do think he just needs a new challenge now. And I think it as much as it is hard for Spurs, obviously someone like him leaving, I do think now's the perfect time to have a rebuild because we've seen people left, obviously Lloris as well, new manager. So I think now is the time for him to use that money and kind of utilize that and do a total rebuild because, yeah, it's just, I feel really harsh saying this, but at the moment, they are a little bit of a laughing stock, aren't they, Spurs?
Yeah.
They are. They have become that over the last few years with the trophies in particular. As Graham says in the chat, Harry Kane will always have the Audi Cup. Yeah, the Audi Cup. Everyone's favourite just underneath the Community Shield for winning. And Chris Welsh again in the chat says, yeah, pretty much what I was saying there. Don't know what to think of the Bayern Munich move, to be honest. Don't be wrong, great team. But again, I don't think winning Bundesliga and German Cups will see this legacy needs to win Champions League. Yes, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because he has got stuck in that Tottenham side. They're going to take. We'll see what Ange Postecoglou can do with them. But I think everyone going into this season is seeing everybody else strengthen and becoming here. And when no one's talking about Tottenham like that, maybe if Kane stays, there's a surprise. But I think the stigma with Tottenham is there. And of course, there's a spot in the top 8 for Burnley, Dan, isn't there? So we can't have everybody making it into
exactly. Exactly. You know what? The best thing for Spurs would be to sell Kane. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to Spurs fans, and they think, well, go on, elaborate. I mean, look at that time that he spent a good number of months injured. Heung-min Son flourished, came out of his shell, almost like, I've got to step up and sort of be, I know it's a bad way of looking at it, especially if it's not happened to you, but when your parents split up at a young age and you sort of, they sit you down and say, right, you're the man, your dad sits you down and says, you're the man of the house now, or you're this, and, you need to grow up before your time, sort of thing. That's what a lot of the players did when Kane was injured, because they knew that it wasn't just relying on that one man to orchestrate how the players. I don't think Postecoglou will even do that either. I don't think he just got, Kane, we're going to play to your strengths. He strikes me as a manager that will analyse every player he's got in his arsenal. I can't believe I said that about Tottenham. But he's going to try and utilise the strength of all those other players. And the best thing for me, like I say, is getting rid of Kane. And I think you will see many of the players that are there that haven't really had much game time. The likes of maybe a Ryan Sessegnon, or like I say, Son may flourish again after his bit of misfiring last year. Who knows? But yeah, for me, Kane has to go. But yeah, I agree. Champions League, or you've not really left yourself a name.
No, exactly. And plus, he's got a year left on his contract. So next summer he's off for free. So that's got to be a thought process. So Chris says he's halting their transfer business. He is, because it's all very well, and I think this is why, asking the question why Man United are not in for him, or Arsenal in particular. I think because, Arsenal with Tottenham doing a deal would seem unbelievable. I know it's happened at times in the past, but I think in today's so could you imagine? I think that would just about crucify Tottenham under, wouldn't it, if they sold Harry Kane to Arsenal? But the United thing, I think it's because of the Levy, the way he does his transfer negotiations, and the fee that he would demand off a Premier League club will be crazy. He likes to elongate the thing out so it takes the entire summer, which is not of benefit to Tottenham either, really. They need to move and do everything else. And it just leaves everyone stuck. Harry Kane in particular as well, not knowing what to do. So I just wonder, if he does go to Bayern Munich, is there the potential in 12 months' time he might come back? Because Bayern might well be easier to buy off of, and are looking for a short-term gap. What do you think, Shah?
Yeah, I reckon so. And I was actually just about to say as well, this should be a Saudi Arabia job, because it's a win-win for everyone, isn't it? Like we were similar to what we were doing with Mbappe, like for a year, obviously goals, but obviously another established player, shirt sales kind of thing, and then goals in a year's time, plus then Spurs get the money, don't they? So it would have been perfect from that perspective. But yeah, the only thing is with him as well, obviously, he's getting older now, isn't he, Kane? And obviously when you get older, there's more risks of like injuries and stuff. I'm not going to say he's going to get that. It could do better for him in Bundesliga, because it is a lot slower, isn't it, the game, compared to obviously the Premier League. So it could suit him. And I know we're saying about, obviously, he needs to win a Champions League as well. But if that is what he wants, I know you've obviously got the likes of your Manchester Cities, your Real Madrids and stuff now. But there's an established manager there who has won Champions League before, isn't there? In I'm going to say Tommy Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel.
Tommy Tukes, as he's known.
Like, I know it.
You and your best mate.
So it is a bit of a hard one. I think there'd be more leadway with him, obviously going to another Premier League team with Bayern Munich, but I don't reckon they would just have him for that year. I reckon it's more of a bigger picture with him.
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, it is the potential of what they want to do long term. Surely you're spending that much money, you're going to do it. But whether Bayern can be tempted before in terms of moves, and that they do move in different ways, just wondering how they'll look at things. And Bayern are a team that change if Tuchel doesn't work out in 12 months' time as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll pull that.
Even 6 months. Even 6 months for teams these days.
Yeah, it can be very quick. It can turn around. I'll get some lovely comments in from everybody saying how much knowledge that we have. Very rare we get a comment positivity to tell us we have great knowledge, and to get us on Sky Sports.
Just end the live now. End the live now before we go any further. What a success!
It's only going to go downwards.
It will. Our heads will be too big to fit the camera from all of this love. So we'll see. The Harry Kane saga continues. Who knows where it's going to end? But Tottenham need to do something. Kane needs to do something. A team that started to do something, though, Dan, Burnley have started to recruit. there's a lot of hashtags to freeing other players as well, I think, which I think you're going to go into. But tell everybody, because we focused on some other teams in recent weeks. We want to know how Burnley getting ready for the Premier League. What have they been doing this transfer window?
I saw a tweet actually earlier that we have spent more than, I think it was Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and all these other sort of big name clubs. And I think we've spent, well, what media have said we've spent. However, what the club says probably undisclosed. But it's meant to be rumoured about 70-something million we've spent already, which is madness. I didn't even think like 77 million around here is probably outstanding parking fines or something, not like what the club have. So I am really shocked that we're actually doing some business. I can't doubt Vincent Kompany's transfer philosophy because it worked in his first season. So as much as he's bringing in players that you're thinking, who, what, give them a chance. So I think he knows what he's doing a little bit. Like I say, with some of the signings, we were linked with Somali Koulibaly from Borussia Dortmund. That looked like it was going to be a done deal on loan with a mandatory 15 million fee at the end of it. And apparently there was complications in the end. Whether we pulled out because there's a risk of a 19-year-old coming who's had 3 substitute appearances and not really much to go off, it's a massive chunk of money to take a risk on. So this part of me thinks that it was our club that pulled out of that. But we have strengthened in a lot of areas. I think we're going down that Pep route where why buy a striker when you can just stick a winger up front? So we've probably spent quite a bit on about 6 or 7 wingers, to be honest. And yeah, obviously the one that's picking up pace, shall we say, is the free teller movement that's been going about today. I say today, I've been trying to do it now for a few days, but today's where everybody's sort of joined in. Even Alan Pace's daughter has put a video out, going around the town, slapping missing Nathan Teller, last seen smiling in Burnley, sort of like what posters on lampposts and things. So we really like trying to push this, come home sort of feeling for him. Fingers crossed he comes in by the end of the window. But at this moment, I'd probably say I'm about a 5 out of 10 for our transfer business. A left back and a centre mid. Then it happily goes up to about an 8.
Yeah, I think when we last spoke, wasn't it? You were worried mostly, I think, about you had a lot of loans last season. Could you turn them permanent? I think Jordan Bay has come in, but obviously you've got Harewood Bellis. You've got Matson's gone back with Chelsea. Say Teller. I mean, where I'm at, so down in Southampton, they've got a hide Teller movement. There's a somebody lock him away movement. Don't tell anybody he's still. I think they can't believe he's still here, as per 1 or 2 of their players heading into the Championship. They're very shocked that he is. So they're all trying to make you forget about him. But we'll see which movement wins comes the end of the window. So
if I have to do a video crying, mate, I will do. Trust me. If that gets it over the line, I will stand there. I will plea and say that I will pay his petrol fees at £2 a month. I would make it look like the most Z-graded Oxfam video, like to try and get him in ever. I will do anything I can to bring him in.
To bring him home.
Please, save a ginger, please.
Can I just mention as well? Did you see Owen Dodgson's goal in pre-season? He played one of the friendlies. How good was that?
It was a real finish. I was shocked that he'd been put onto the right-hand side as a left back, and then he sort of cut in and done really well to get that goal. I mean, it done him the world of good because a lot of Burnley fans were like, "This guy was at Rochdale and they got relegated. He can't really be that good." But then I'm thinking, hold on a minute, one player doesn't make a team. And
to be fair, he was one of he only came obviously in January. He was one of the little bit of glimmer in our season, in such a bad season, him and Danny Lloyd as well. But honestly, all the Dale fans loved Owen Dodgson. We really did rate him.
I do think he'll go back out on loan again. I don't think obviously he'll get a chance at the Premier League. If we were still in the Championship, maybe a somewhere on the bench, especially if the left back position wasn't fulfilled. But I think that's some area we're going to try and look into.
Is it like the new Kevin Long?
Yeah, he could be. He very much could be. He is the bench, and we've signed a lot of defenders as well. I mean, we brought in Dara O'Shea from West Brom, which I think was a good signing. If you'd have told me that Dara O'Shea signed for Burnley last season, from what I've seen of him in pre-season, I'd have probably gone, oh, right, really? Because he's just slotted in like a glove. I think we're going to surprise teams. We really are going to shock a lot of teams that think we're going to go there with that long ball, boring, like just northern grit team. But we're still going to have that northern grit, but with like flair. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Opening day against City, who knows? Let's upset the apple cart. Let's do it.
This is it. They might still be on their holidays. They've got Community Shield hangovers and UEFA Super Cups to worry about. Might be the best time to take them on. Bit of
true. I hope so.
Out Pep, can't you? Vinny 2.0.
Easily done, mate. Water off a duck's back.
This is it. This is what we're missing. You're going to show us all how it's done for the start of the season, and then it's just just copy and paste, and they'll be done.
Or we could also be the first casualty of a 6-0 defeat, and then go, well, it's all right. They've got it. They'll do it to other teams.
It could be Haaland Express coming through. But just looking at some of the signings you've made, I mean, you have bought a goalkeeper from Manchester City, of course. Who was heavy in the in the media because of the Euro Championship win for the England under-21s. James Trafford's come in for Manchester City, 19 million. I mean, an exciting transfer for you. Gonna take the number one shot straight away, or do you think there's going to be a bit of to and fro with him and Muric?
Definitely to and from with him and Muric. If you had to ask me now who starts against Manchester City, I would tell you Muric, hands down. I think Trafford, again, it's very rare you see these transfers where a player goes out on loan and then he gets a big money move with a big jump, and the golfing class from playing that League One football to Premier League football is humongous. He had a David Seaman moment the other day against Real Betis in pre-season. We were 1-0 up and Marc Bartra, the former Barcelona defender, shot from the halfway line, literally from a free kick, just pelted it. He's sprawling back. It's hit the crossbar, hit the back of Trafford's head and gone in. So a lot of Burnley fans are like, oh my God, like, is this guy really worth 19 million? But you've got to give Burnley credit and the staff at Burnley as well for look at the keepers we've had that we've turned into England internationals. So, he's probably looked at that as well and gone, Burnley have got a good pedigree of, building up that sort of calibre and making the first team. It's a good move for him. I'm just scared it's going to be a similar situation to what we had with Hart, Heaton and Pope, where they were all like, we're all good enough to be playing first team football. So is there going to be the odd sort of like, I should be number one? I don't know. I mean, Muric deserves it after the season he's had. And he's only grown in confidence. The thing is with Trafford, he is still very young. He's technically a baby in terms of keeper's age. Yeah. Because their peak is late 20s, mid 30s. So it might work
perfectly that age, mightn't it? Because I think to rotate two keepers is very difficult throughout a season. Yeah. You have to give them a kind of good patch. They have to have a run of games. And with a younger keeper, it's easier probably to give him that kind of younger game at one point. Potentially, there might be some tougher games this season that gets Muric out the fire, put Trafford in for a bit, series, and he either takes it on, doesn't he? Or then you can bring Muric back from it. So I think it's a really interesting signing, I think. And I think I'm watching that thinking it'll be interesting to see if he can come through this season and what he will do. And so not only that, you've been an exciting one for announcements. I mean, Charlotte, I'm going to come to you with this one because I don't know if you've seen Nathan Redmond, who Chris mentioned in the chat, Bissett doing transfer window gifts when new signings come in. Did you see the Backstreet Boys initiation signing from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Nathan Redmond?
Do you know what? I've actually not seen that one. I've seen a lot of them as well, but I've not seen that one. But honestly, I think everyone now tries the best to be like Burnley on the announcements, because I know our admin's done it as well. And there's been a few different ones where I thought, yeah, you've definitely copied Burnley. But yeah, I love it when you see all these signings anyway and you get all the fans hyped up. But I think this admin in particular, like, he or she, I'm guessing, I think it's probably a he, they're doing bits anyway. But it's been really good. It's been fun to watch from like a different perspective as well, not being a Burnley fan. Engaged, doesn't it?
It does, because at first you're like, I mean, what were it? When we signed Zekia and Amdouni, again, you're probably thinking, what's that? And it's like a number 15 on a Turkish menu. Yeah. But it comes in and then they just put, and we're thinking, what's this video? Next minute, you're watching Teletubbies. And then you've just got this foreigner in Tinky Winky's tummy going, hello. And they're going, uh-oh. And I'm just like, what is going on? I'm like, this is meant to be a transfer signing. Like, I mean, even when we got Ian Maatsen on loan last year, they used Minions going, Ian Maatsen. And then you're just like, what? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's absolutely world class. And I've tried to do some things myself with Nathan Teller. Like I say, I've done a few with like, The Wizard of Oz. So when she's saying there's no place like home. And then there's the one from, I think, is it Die Hard, where he comes back a day early as a detective. And she says, who's that in the closet? And then the closet opens and I've just got the back shot of the head. And then afterwards it just goes to Nathan Taylor, baby. And I just so I've tried to emulate them to the point where people sent comments saying, is Turf Morehouse the Burnley admin? I'm like, nah, definitely not. Nah. I'm not that clever.
They are sensational. I love a bit of random. I think if Teller does come back, it needs to be built with promos over weeks, I reckon. It needs to be like in WWE when they bring somebody back and there's cryptic promos. Yes! And then all of a sudden, they go to Turf Moor and the belting music comes out and it'll be like, Nathan Teller comes
out. Bit of Eminem. Guess who's back? Teller friend. See?
Teller comes out with the spotlight down on him running all the way to the middle. Oh, yeah. It's made for it. Just need to get the signing in now. The promo and everything's ready.
Oh, definitely.
If this happens now, the admin definitely watches the podcast.
Oh, 100%. Copyright straight off the bat. So Kate says, Daniel, you could give the editor for Burnley a run for the money with your edits. There you go.
Take that.
Got the skills. And Chris back on goalkeepers. Goalkeepers are supposed to make saves. It's their job, says Roy Keane. Yeah,
that's their job.
It's the job. It's his job, man. So Burnley doing very well in the transfer window, and still some time to go before we see what else happens for you guys.
Definitely,
because there's moves still happening all the time, involving many clubs, many Saudi Arabian clubs as well, which we'll come on to in a moment. The latest one, I think, on the Saudi Arabian transfer news, which is almost like it's a whole segment on its own at the moment. Victor Osimhen, who has been heavily linked with a number of players in European football, 140 million euros apparently is the bid from Al Hilal. Wow. Which is 10 million short of Napoli's asking price, which I can't believe that there's not going to be a second bid. That's the only difference, because 10 million to these guys means absolutely nothing. We started to see players. We talked about Mbappe last week. That still hasn't kind of firmed it up, and Osimhen's now come into. Is anyone safe, Shah? Is anyone? I mean, this could really throw your season if Saudi Arabia pick up one of your players in the last couple of transfer windows and you don't have time to react.
Yeah, well, I think we're pretty safe anyway.
I don't know. I know. You're on TV now.
I can see Jim McNulty jumping ship.
They've all got TNT Sports for Saturday at 5:30.
I know. No one's safe. And I don't know if it's not even just from the Premier League as well, is it? It's like every league. I don't know if he's actually gone, but the latest was from PSG. Wasn't Verratti close to signing for a team as well?
Verratti was one that was linked,
Yeah,
Fabinho's
obviously. Yeah, Sergio Ramos has been linked as well, but I think he's been linked to Inter Miami because they're doing like the La Liga comeback, aren't they? From
the La Liga All-Stars,
Yeah, but no, I don't think anyone's safe. Like I said, it's got to the point now where they've kind of got a plan, haven't they? Get all the biggest players there, obviously, and that'll get people watching. That's just the start, isn't it? It's not as if it's just the first big signing really was Cristiano Ronaldo, wasn't it? And I don't know now whether Cristiano Ronaldo will spit his dummy out because he's not like the biggest signing anymore for that, especially if we get Mbappe.
He'll go to Qatar next year. Watch him
exactly.
go to Qatar and start
you
that
just
league
know he's going to spit his dummy out. If Mbappe goes, he's not going to be like the star of Saudi football. But no, I don't think anyone's safe. And to be fair, like I've said on a previous podcast, you can't blame them because that's your family kind of like... financially settled, isn't it? And as much as we always say like it's not all about money, if someone come to us with that kind of money, you go, don't you? It's a no-brainer. And I think this is the start of Saudi football, and I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger the names you do get. I really do.
Well, this is really the first main window, isn't it? We've seen as well, and it's gone crazy, crazy to get that initial wave, and then people will maybe have a second thought about it. During this season, to see how it goes, there'll probably be a few thinking, if this takes off and there's money available, then why not? I mean, we've had managers started to be linked. I mean, the question is, who's picking it up? TV broadcasting, because I mean that's the thing. If suddenly one of the UK broadcasters starts picking it up, then you go, okay, there's clearly something onto this. And I guess the question is Dan, if it was available, would you watch it now with some of the players that are coming? Is that do you think there still needs to be another influx before it's going to grab your interest from a viewer's perspective? From
a viewing perspective, I think it's one of them where you'd watch it just to see what it's like. Probably, we all seem to do that sort of thing. And at the moment, I think it's been so long without football, I'll watch anything at the moment. Trust me, I would watch midgets playing fat guys for 30 minutes if it meant, just some sort of football.
Seeing anything. It's a bit like, do you remember COVID with the Bundesliga, where we all became Bundesliga fans? That's the only football you could watch.
I found I think there were a Russian club that I found that were like really bottom tier, and they were called FC Slutsk. Emphasising the K there, people. But some of the stuff that they used were quite funny because they obviously utilised the name in that way. But so we were sending a lot of that around and watching their games online. But no, I think personally, I totally get what Charlotte's saying. A lot of these players are going over there. My issue is, yes, Cristiano Ronaldo started this movement, but how many other big named players, your likes of Xavi and Iniesta, that went over to the J League?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then that's just gone quiet. Yeah. Apparently everyone's are they going here just for that final payday, like you say, and then eventually, once they've retired, a Saudi's going to be able to come in with that money again, because that money is being spent on them, but then they're not making anything from it. It's all well and good getting them in so people put your eyes on them, but once they retire, because they're at near that age, you're left with nothing. You're potless, and the league goes back to crap. It's I don't know. It's a catch-22 for the Saudis, and it depends how they play this. Like you say, if it does get picked up and a lot of people watch it because of how many stars have gone out there, it's going to be funny to watch when you see Ronaldo play it to a player who's working 2 till 4 shift at Burger King. Out on the left or something, and his feet are tired, and Ronaldo's shouting at him, and he's just like, sod off, that's it, sod off, you whopper. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting with the Saudi league. Like I say, I think it does have the potential to go down the sort of like J League route, and that's worrying for football. It's all well and good chucking money at something, but you've got to build a success of it.
Sorry, Sam, just on that as well, I think it'll get to a point where there'll be that many people going to Saudi Arabia, those players that we were talking about then, I think they'll end up obviously having to go elsewhere or not playing football or playing on a lower spectrum, because I think they'll just get to a point where it'll just be stars for their team. I think these other ones who have played there before you, Cristiano Ronaldo's, I think they'll eventually phase out, because I just think the Saudis will make it that big, because I think because obviously with the oil now and obviously the environment and people like wanting to go all like environmental friendly. I think they're trying to base something else and put the money into something else, aren't they now? So I think if they obviously do that with football, I think those kind of players will end up getting phased out, and then you'll obviously get your, I'm not saying Mbappe, but you'll get like your big massive stars going there. And I think that'll just, I honestly think that could have the potential, if they do, obviously, like you say, if they do invest in it properly, to become one of the biggest leagues. Because
it could also ruin the big players as well, though. Like I say, the big players, all of a sudden, it doesn't agree. They don't agree with the move, or it doesn't go right for them, or issues with the family as well, with all the shenanigans around the rules in these different countries. So you've got all these elements of, mate, you think we're going to pay a stupid amount of money for you because you just went off and played football in a multi-millionaire league? Just doesn't mean that the caliber of league and the caliber of football you were playing is good enough to warrant that amount. They've paid that excess amount because they've tried to lure you in, not just as a footballer, but as a spokesperson for Saudi football. Again, I totally agree with you, Shaw, and it's a sort of to be continued with the Saudi league.
Yeah, you got. It's how they're going to maintain people's interest, which is something that's interesting to me. Like, it's all very well people are going to watch a game. It's like watching an all-star game, or if you want FIFA and you've put all the players together in the same team just to see kind of what happens, and you watch it once, but what's going to keep you coming back? Have you got an affiliation to that team? Have you got and certainly over here, maybe it'll be different over there because it's the other hemisphere, and you're talking about that maybe it will capture that part of the world and those teams will start to become affiliated. But, we come from a football where your team is your team. You grow up with your team. The player is bigger than the team. And this is kind of the reverse, isn't it? The player is bigger than the team. The player is what is, with no disrespect to those teams, who I'm sure locally, have the history.
You're seeing kids walking around with an Al Nassr t-shirt on. And they would never have walked around with that t-shirt on if Ronaldo hadn't have gone there.
Exactly.
No,
this is what I mean. It's like these are kids that are at a young age that I get it, because you all have heroes growing up with, we had Beckham and players like that were, English spokespeople. But I don't know. I don't like it. When I felt bad because I looked at a kid wearing an Al Nassr shirt and I thought, do you even understand football? But I didn't question him. I just thought, I understand why you've done it, because Ronaldo, big name, and you may not even understand it. And I sound really petty with what I'm saying. I think,
it's true.
But I just think that you've got a club, like you said, Sam. You support a club, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's a different way of football supporting it, and say that is maybe where it's a different generation. So perhaps that's where ultimately it may well go, and people will do what they want to do to watch stuff. Graham says in the chat, Saudis are just buying people because they can. It's more of a statement of this is what we can do rather than making their league success. Yeah, that's how they can use the money to make it a successful league, to make it competitive, to make it and buying players is one thing, but turning it into a kind of a commercial brand and something people will want to watch, and the interest in the competition itself is a whole different prospect, because we live in Europe. There's the availability to Serie A, to La Liga, and not everybody watches those. We know how good some of those teams are. We know how good Napoli have been this season. I didn't watch much Napoli last season. There's only so much football people can watch, and I think people that already kind of have those affiliations, it's going to be difficult to suddenly chuck that league on top of it as well and see. But as you say, money talks, but we will see. Time will tell.
Do you know what is interesting though? I feel like where it was all Cristiano Ronaldo at that team, at least now, and I don't want to sound like I have got quite a lot of interest in, but it's quite interesting how these stars are all these different teams now. It's not just like one main team.
Yeah.
So that's where I don't want to sound.
It's not all of them either, is it? It's like it's the top bracket, and then there's what's going to happen to all the others that have, I presume, have got, as you say, Danny Whopper on the wing, and Chicken Royale on the right, my working day jobs. Is that gonna work? How's that gonna work for the? Are you going to get them 10-0 defeats? Is that good? Is that a bad thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. It's going to be a tough market. They seem to think it's just going to be easy because they can chuck money at it, and numbers and money talks. Like I say, I can't blame these players. I think Charlotte said it. They've got families. It could be a final payday they could be looking at the club that they're at now, thinking, you know what, the last 7 or 8 years I've spent really focused on myself, and sort of just spending money on what I want. Now I'm hitting my 30s. I need to think about my family's future. I could potentially be settling down to have children. Put money away, invest, and 1 week's wage over in Saudi Arabia pretty much can just confirm that anyway. So like I say, I think it is going to be strange, but people are going to splash money, like Chris said about China splashing them. When they signed the likes of Oscar, Drogba even. I think he was one of the first starter movement. Yeah. So we'll see. Like I say, we'll see. It's going to be interesting for probably the next, between now and the next 5 years, to see whether it fizzles out or whether they make a success of it.
Certainly will. We will keep our eyes on it. This probably won't be the last time we mention the Saudi League, I would imagine, on the podcast. That may well happen again. But taking things closer to the Premier League, of what we've been following over the last 12 months, we'll continue to follow next season alongside lower league football has been covered. It's been exciting. We had our first lower league podcast last week, didn't we, Charlotte, covering Championship, League One, League Two and National League, and a massive extravaganza. We were there all evening talking about it. We had so much to preview, but it was so good. We really enjoyed it. So of course there's lots of transfers still happening, and just to link into that, Charles, why don't you tell us what's been going on with Rochdale's transfers? We're always interested in Rochdale. Have gone down to the National League. We have become an affiliated supporter of Rochdale through Charlotte and the tribulations.
I do apologise, everyone.
We all feel the pain. What can you tell us that's coming good out of Rochdale? Well, coming out of Rochdale.
I'm going to be honest, just a bit more pain. Just to make you all feel a bit. Well, basically, obviously, we've gone down to National League. It's progressively got worse and worse each season. And then, obviously, this has happened. We've made a few signings this season. Adam Clayton was a good one. We got him from Bradford as well. So he's like an established midfielder, quite a dirty, tough tackling one, what we've been crying out for ages, really. But a lot of our signings have been young players. And obviously, we finished our pre-season and we beat Bradford 1-0. Devante Rodney scoring again. I think he'll get quite a lot of goals in that league. He's been doing it in pre-season as well. But Jim McNulty, bless him, came out and did an interview, and he said from here on now, it won't be these players that we all know from like the leagues above, from the National League. It will just be young prospects coming through because we've not got the money. It basically put it in a nice way of we've not got a pot to piss in, basically, which is really, really sad. And it was just
you can put gems out though. You can put gems out doing it that way because you get these people that have been released and then they come here and they go, come here. Look, I'm speaking like I'm a Rochdale fan. And then they get to Scotland and it's almost like brilliant. Let's I can further my career.
100%. And Keith Hill was exactly the same. He got Scott Hogan from down in I don't even think it were National Leagues. I think it was the league below. Craig Dawson, he got from Radcliffe Borough. So it is one of them where it is really good and hopefully it will happen, but it was just a bit of a kick in the teeth. Like, you have a really good pre-season, which we don't get excited at anyway because we won most games last season and look where we have ended up. So you don't get excited anyway, but it was a bit of a kick to reality. So, yeah, but I'm not thinking about
prospects.
Exactly.
Young prospects. Hey, Sam, we've got a chance of getting the game.
This is it. It's time too, yeah. Just need those knees to hold on 12 months and we'll be all right. It's a long old slog in the National League. Get through that whole season. Yeah, fingers crossed they shard. They're young prospects. If they can find a gem, I guess the thing is, is the right networks getting the right players? And if you've got a bit of experience in to blend with it, it could work well. So yeah, I mean, so you can see
sometimes can be the best way as well, because it's not like the last few seasons. And Jim McNulty, to be fair to him, he's got rid of some of the bad apples. The ones who thought they were better than what they were and stuff. They've moved on to other clubs. That was one of his main goals, what he wanted to do this season, which I'm really chuffed about. So at least with the young upcoming players, you just think at least they want a chance and they will give their all, because some of them who think they're better than the club, which more often than not they are. I'm not going to lie, because it's us. But at least we will get that from them, and they want to move on to better things. They will give their all. They will put a tackle in and stuff like that. So it is quite disheartening in a way. But then I think to myself, looking at the bigger picture, like, this is what happened with Keith Hill, and at least you know these people will care about the club.
Yeah.
Which is 100% what you want, isn't it? You got the right backing, and whichever way it goes is whichever way it goes, and we'll see. We'll see. Everyone's got optimism on day one. Everyone's got optimism. You can say the podcast is still available on YouTube, on audio, if you want to check it out, check what we thought. We had predictions. Yes, I know, Chris, some of them may have been controversial. That's what we do on the podcast now and again. We have a go, and I'm sure come the end of the season we'll all be pointing fingers out to say how terribly wrong we were. But by all means, do let us know in the comments what you think in that podcast, where you think people are going to finish. Chris believes that Rochdale are going to finish 11th. Hard to predict them in the National League, and Chesterfield will win the league. Yeah, I think that's unanimous. We're all unanimous about that the other day.
I'd be happy with 11th. I'd take that right now. I'd bat your hand off for it. I would happily take that right now.
That would be a good start to the season. Moving back quickly to the Premier League, there's two more things I want to touch on the Premier League, and then we can go to my exciting FPL game, which I'm excited about. Chelsea and Brighton have been on the phone to each other a lot over the summer. A lot of back and forth over transfers. There were a lot of calls last summer with the Cucurella and all those deals that they did. The latest one coming through is an ex-Rochdale man himself, Shine, Robert Sanchez. Yeah. Robert Sanchez is looking like he might well be on the move to Chelsea in the goalkeeping one. Is that a shock transfer for you?
To be fair, I think Brighton these days are a better team, aren't they? So it's going a bit backwards. I'm only joking. But no, honestly, we had him on loan a few seasons ago. And, you know, when you look at someone and you think to yourself, these are going to play... You know, when you get these loan signings and you think they're going to really go on to do better things, they're going to make it. And when I saw it was Fabrizio who put it as well. So when I saw like his picture in a little bit, I thought, wow, I'm really, really chuffed for him. And we've seen him the last couple of seasons now. He's starting for Brighton. He's getting better and better. And I think he's someone that Chelsea needs. I've met him personally as well, obviously when he was at Rochdale, and he's a really, really nice guy as well. And I think they need that in the dressing room, not some egos. So, yeah, I genuinely think it'll be a great move for him. I'm just sad for Brighton because they seem to lose all the prospects, don't they, to Chelsea? But they get the money for him because Chelsea will pay stupid money. I mean, we've seen it with Cucurella. We've seen it with Graham Potter, so...
Well, this is
at
it.
least
Graham
they're
says in the chat.
Decent with Sanchez.
They're still arguing over the custody of Graham Potter, apparently, according to Graham in the chat. That's still going on. I mean, Sanchez did he have an injury when they dropped him out for Steele, or was it a rotation? Because Steele came in at the end of the season, didn't he? They made a bit of a switch. So
I'm sure he got a knock. Yeah. I'm sure he got an injury.
So potentially that's changed their thinking, that Steele's come through and thinking Brighton always buy and sell kind of well and at the right time. Like, you go back 12 months and think Cucurella, my God, what a deal that was for Brighton, how much they sold him for the season he had. Basuma, we were raving about Basuma last season, and maybe one that maybe comes back. I think he had some injury issues too, so that might take a bit longer to judge, but they got rid of some of the players. They need to Neil Mopai, which Kira wasn't particularly happy about either. Was not a fan. If Kira's on the fence about anything, it's not Neil Mopai at Everton, that's for sure. So Brighton doing some business again with Chelsea for that. And the other one that Chelsea are trying to pull out of them, which is another one that's gone on all summer, Dan, is Moses Caicedo in sort of centre midfield, and seems to be that they're haggling back and forth over a fee. Do you think Chelsea are going to get this one over the line before it's all said and done?
I think potentially they'd agree a fee, but I think if I was, I'll just go on Moses for easiness. But yeah, I just think that he needs to look at the picture there and go, am I going to get in over the likes of Conor Gallagher? Am I going to do this? I know I'm only 20 years old, but if it doesn't work out for me at Chelsea, am I just going to become part of a conveyor belt of loan moves? That's another thing you've got to worry about with Chelsea. you know, how hyped up was Callum Hudson-Odoi, and now he's linked with a $4 million move to Fulham. You're just like, you know, this is a guy they could have sold to Bayern Munich for like 70 million. This is like, you know, while the hype train was going. So he's got to be careful. I'd stay with Brighton. I would stay with Brighton. I think what they're building with De Zerbi there as well is phenomenal. I didn't think that De Zerbi would go in there and just basically continue the train that Potter left and sort of carry on its journey.
Yeah.
So they've done well. Again, like you said, with the keeper situation, you know, I thought Matt Ryan before Sanchez as well was a brilliant keeper. And I was surprised that he was dropped by Brighton. I'm unsure why, but yeah, the thing is with Brighton, they seem to always pluck out very decent youngsters. I mean, they've got obviously Evan Ferguson, who's probably going to be coming of age this term as well in terms of this season. We might see a bit of him. But yeah, Moses for me, I think he'll be agreed, but it'll be him that goes, you know what? I don't know. It's all well and good when you hear the pull of a football club, isn't it? But you've got to think about the bigger picture. So I don't know. I think will be agreed though.
It could have, because Chelsea have gone from having way too many players and way too many, and they've lost a lot. So lost a lot. They made a lot of money to those they've got rid of in Saudi Arabia already. So they have recouped some of it, but they've been short in centre midfield. You know, Kovacic has gone, Kante's gone, Loftus-Cheek has gone. So they do need to recruit Mason Mount, of course. Biggest transfer of the summer, Mason Mount has gone.
Sorry, I had to get that one in.
so they are relatively.
The worrying thing was then, Charlotte, I'm looking at you going, is she gonna correct him that he's not said Mount yet?
Andy's gone to United.
I know. Even worse.
I was going to name the whole squad and see if you noticed. I didn't even go back in time. So I'm going for Lampard, Makaleli. You know, they're all gone. Chelsea. So Chelsea do need a midfielder. And they do need to pull that midfield together. Chelsea are a funny one for me because there's a lot of talent now in that squad. It is a cluster. And Chris says here in the chat, I just picked this up. Yeah, they are a mess. They had so many players. Everything was all over the place. Pochettino's come in and he does have a lot to work with. It's just a case of trimming it and putting it in the right kind of position. So I think if you want to play Chelsea, you want to play them early. But I think come the end of the season, this is what Chelsea do. They rip things up and then they go again, don't they? If it doesn't work this season, they'll do it again next season. It's been even more the Chelsea mantra under Bowley than it was under Abramovich. And how many times did we see Chelsea disappear and then come back and won the title? You know, a few years back, you know, they were absolutely out of nowhere. Exactly. So they kind of do the business, and we'll see where the Caicedo moves. It's been another one that's just dragged on the whole summer so far and doesn't seem to get over the line. We'll go to the chat and see what they think of Chelsea. So Chris reckons Chelsea need a goalkeeper, as you said, potentially Sanchez, DM and a goal scorer. Well, they bought Nicholas Jackson and Nkunku, and I think they're hoping one of those two will do the business. Lukaku's still on the books, isn't he? They haven't offloaded him yet. That's one.
What's happening with Armando Broja as well? I think he's still in the mix.
I think he got a horrific injury, didn't he, last season? So I don't know whether he's back playing or whatever. It'd be good to see him come back. He was another that was on loan and had a really good season at Southampton the season before, and they really missed him. They were hoping he would come back last season, and then obviously he had that bad injury. So he's another that they've got there with talent. They seem to be signing so many players by the name of Fofana. I can never keep track of who's who. There's Fofanas everywhere at Chelsea. So we will see the business. And so talking of loans, Graham says, as you mentioned there, Dan, about Scott Parker. We'll remember him back in the Premier League, went to Chelsea, got lost in the squad after being an absolute superstar at Charlton. Talking of Charlton, Johan joins us in the chat. So Danny Douglas is on trial this week with his team Charlton, 19 years old midfielder from Perth Glory. So there you go. There's some lower league transfer news coming in for you as well. One more transfer I want to talk about. One more transfer. Manchester United might be buying a striker. And it's not Wout Weghorst, Dan, so put your smile away.
Sick. I'm off.
We'll come to Mr. Weghorst in a moment, but Manchester United are heavily beyond heavily linked. Is the bid, I think, and everything seems to be agreed paramedical for Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund coming from Atlanta, striker, Danish striker, young 21-year-old striker who United are going to bring in supposedly to lead the line. I'll give my thoughts in a minute, but Dan, we'll start to you. 72 million's a lot for a striker that's played 20 times in the Serie A last season.
Yeah, definitely is. It's just the way of the market these days, and I know that sounds very Sean Dyche to say, but it is. It's just the way it is with financial terms. The thing is, as well, the pulling power of Manchester United isn't as much there as it used to be. So now they will still try to play hardball for a decent fee. Usually United could try and offer a bit of a pittance, but because the name of Manchester United was enough for that player to spec his dummy out and say, I want to come, and then, he'd end up at the club for a cheaper fee anyway. It's all about, again, it's a risk over reward business, is football. And you are, crying out for that sort of natural goal scorer. Don't get me wrong, Marcus Rashford did a phenomenal job last season. His goals were pivotal. I mean, somebody had to pick up the pieces when you're playing with 10 men. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I don't know whether it was a PR move because you've got Haaland at one club and Højlund at the other. I mean, a little bit of catch-22 with that. As long as you don't start putting billboards up of, Højlund is blue and Haaland is red and all that, mismatched stuff. Yeah. But no, I think it's a good move for Manchester United. Ten Hag seems to know what he's doing. And he's the first manager, really, of Manchester United to seem to have got a grip with and a hold on the squad. And again, I think like what Charlotte said with Jim McNulty, I'm comparing Rochdale to Manchester United, Charlotte. Erik ten Hag will not have a bad egg around. So yeah, that's what I like about him. He's showing what he wants to do. And I think a striker like Højlund will do pretty well for Manchester United. He still is a big fee, though.
It's a big fee, and I think you're not getting a ready built. There you go. There's your superstar striker. Your Haaland. The comparisons with Haaland are going to be, I think, well off because he's at a different stage. He's not where Haaland was. Haaland was the guy. He's not Harry Kane. He's already built for the Premier League. I think you probably comparison-wise is probably more with Darwin Núñez. You're looking at somebody with cracking amount of potential, great skills in a lot of areas, but is going to have a lot of pressure on him early doors, and is going to have to adapt very, very quickly. He seems to be the profile of player that Ten Hag is looking for in terms of some of the things I've seen and read about and watched and sort of how he plays. He's a bit quicker. He's a taller striker. He can hold the ball up, can move things off. He's a bit naive sometimes on decision making, but that can come with coaching and built through.
Yeah.
And as you said, that out and out striker, even if he's not gonna hit the numbers or the heights of Haaland at the minute, because you wouldn't expect him to. In reality, I don't think anybody's going to say that that's going to be the case, but it would allow to put Rashford in his best position, which is off the left. Rashford up top is not the same threat for United, and if you have a nine that can stretch the play, as you say, that isn't the kind of cart horse that we had last season with a goal threat. It will open up the space for people like Rashford, for Bruno Fernandes, for Mason Mount, who's got a decent sort of strike on him as well from the edge of the box. Anthony, these players, I think will flourish just off having somebody's movement like that. So it might be it works better off of him first than it does for him. But I think it's going to be very much kind of patience, like the Darwin Núñez situation at Liverpool, and that it may take some time, and that might be a problem. So Chris says Núñez has way more goals than Højlund. Yeah, he does. He has played more football, but I mean in terms of coming into the league new as a ready-made, Liverpool still didn't work out how to use him properly last season and work out how he fitted in amongst their attacking players. So and Højlund he only played 20 and scored 9 in Serie A. So it wasn't like he played 40 games and he only scored 9. So there's hope in the transfer, but I'm not thinking we've got a ready-made number 9. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think first of all, people need to stop the comparisons at first with Haaland and Højlund, because already I think there's a lot of pressure on him. Yeah, he's miles off. And I'm sorry, but I can't say his name now. Ten Hag's building something, whereas Pep has been there for a while, and obviously we've seen him and what he can do. So I think that pressure needs to come off him straight away. But I think the only good thing is with this Højlund, I think the price tag is too much, but you've seen it previously when you've got your Lukaku's, an established striker there. He's done nothing. Obviously, you've got your Paul Pogba's there, established midfielder. He's done nothing. So I think the only good thing is with I need to stop saying Haaland and Højlund.
Just call him Rasmus. Rasmus is easier.
Rasmus. I think the only good thing is with him, as much as obviously it is a big price tag, at least he's not got like. Do you kind of get me where I'm coming from? Whereas you Lukaku and everyone, straight away you're expecting this really great striker. At least with Højlund, you kind of know what you're getting and he can build on that. And he's only young as well. So I think under Ten Hag as well, hopefully you will flourish because you've seen like what he can do with players. It's like Luke Shaw. Like he's got him playing decent. As we've mentioned, the players that aren't doing so well, he's trying to get out the door and stuff, and he won't take any nonsense. And like Garnacho last season, he flourished under Ten Hag, a young prospect as well. So I think with him, we have got to be patient, and I think we will see that. And like last season, because you can kind of see he is building something, and you can kind of see the way he does want to play as well. Obviously, I'm not just saying it because I like him, but Mason Mount. Obviously, you've got your Ericssons as well, Bruno Fernandes.
Onana's going to change things, I think, as well.
Yeah. I can't say Onana. I want to sing Rihanna. But yeah, I think they have got to be patient because I think with Manchester United, similar to what Arsenal went through as well under Arteta and are still going through, I think it is a project and we've just got to be patient. Whereas with Manchester City, they've been there, they've done that, and they're coming to the end of it because obviously a lot of players are aging under Manchester City. So I think that is where we've got to kind of bear with him and with Højlund as well. And I just think the comparisons need to stop already because Haaland's played a season in the Premier League. He's not even come to the Premier League yet. He's not even signed for Manchester United yet, and people are already comparing them together. I
think the names helping say is Graham says Sky can't wait to get the Højlund and Haaland quits when they play each other. Say Haaland was ready-made superstar coming into City, and we all went, "Oh dear God," when City signed him. You know, and that's not the same feeling with Højlund. If I was sitting here with Erling Haaland having signed for Man United, I'd be thinking league titles, but I'm certainly not thinking that at the minute. There's a long way to go, and as we saw, you know, we've seen with players that come in, it can take a while, and some can hit the thing running. So my hope for him is he gets an early goal when he gets the chance, and then settles the nerves and keeps the media off his back, because it's not easy to have them carry that weight. But the fee always carries that. Manchester United always carries that. I mean, surely he'll score more goals than Valverde, Dan, surely.
Mate, as soon as that whistle goes and he's wearing a Manchester United shirt, he will have done more after the referee's blown the whistle to start the game than Valverde did in his tenure. The thing is with this transfer, it could go brilliant. You know, you're going to get the money straight off the bat, and it's like, yes, nice one, Ten Hag. Or it's going to be, this is going really wrong. It's been one of those bad recruitments. Cheers, Ten Bob. So it's good. It's going to be a tough one to call. Like you say, it's the price tag nowadays that a lot of people will say that will hang over a young player's head.
They point out and say, typically United players always get that. You get this. They'll talk about this. It's talking about the fee rather than the particulars, I think, of the players. And yeah, I mean, I'd have loved starting the season. Before, when the season ended, we're talking transfers, Harry Kane was the dream. But I think Levy would price him at more than he's pricing for Bayern for us. I think that was the feel. The negotiation would be too long. And we're in a position where they said, we're not going to stick around with that. And we need a striker, and we do badly. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a second, like, more experienced head come in on like a kind of free transfer, shorter deal, even a loan again, to have that backup. You know, if this kid gets injured early doors, you're back to Martial.
Just give me a moment. I've just messaged Vincent Kompany on Twitter to see if Weghorst is still available.
He's got He's already at Old Trafford. He's got it built into his sat nav.
he's doing a Peter Odemwingie as we speak. He's sat outside Old Trafford.
He's got the tracksuit on from last season, and he's boots in his bag.
If it works though, if this transfer does work, is it a good? Is it a little tap on the back like, all right, Glazers, I'll give you your due there? Or is it a little? Because I understand there's a lot of turmoil between, owners and the actual football club itself and the fans, but they are willing to obviously back Ten Hag. Yeah,
the Glazers thing I think is gone. That's the thing. There's
I'm saying that through gritted teeth, by the way, just in case there is United fans in the chat going, "You what? You ginger weirdo specimen."
It's such a funny one because the Glazers itself is this whole kind of story in itself, rather than just there has been money for the club and there has been money, and Ten Hag possibly is seeing the biggest second season transfer window. It is double backing. I think that was some of previously. It was kind of the first backing, and then the second window would be kind of rein it in. And it's more than we were being told was available at the start of the season. Slightly, some are because of FFP as well, which is partly the Glazers' fault too, because they haven't put their own money in, which means we've got certain restrictions other clubs don't have because they haven't revolved that around. And there's more than just the transfers and the finances they're doing. Yeah, I don't think you can say Ten Hag hasn't been backed this summer with what he's got. We haven't got. Have we spent it well? Time will tell. In the past, we haven't. We haven't spent well. That's been the problem. We have spent money, but spent it badly, and we've spent what others have spent for the same item. A lot more. We've got a tin of beans for £5.50, where everyone's buying it at 20p, and we got the same kind of product at the end of it. So therefore, I know
what you mean. Valverde for 2.68 million loan fee. I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. So they've got a nice Cornish pasty alongside it, where we're just kind of, we've got some hard-boiled peas. It's just not the same thing.
The whole office down at Turf Moor went to Nando's to celebrate after that. They spent it straight away.
yeah, exactly. It's mad. It's mad. So transfer fees are crazy, and we'll see. So from a United perspective, to have a striker, just to have someone who's called a striker and willing to kind of give him time and whatever to see, and hopefully
Ten Hag must see something in him. Ten Hag must see something in him, and I know with the Weghorst, didn't he know him? Like he had connections with him previously, something already knew him, and that's why obviously he's probably thought it's my first season here. I'll bring in someone I can kind of trust. I know him. And I think now with this Højlund deal, he'll see something in him. Like obviously with Mason Mount, it looks like he's bringing in up and coming talent and younger players because he has got a bigger picture. So I think you've just got to trust in Ten Hag, haven't you? And he must see something in those players to want them.
Yeah,
the process.
That's it. Trust. Back to trust in the process for the new season. And Chris says, felt leg lost more like pretty much. Yeah, I mean he was panicked. They just ran out of time in January, and we ended up what we had. So yeah, I'm hopeful. It's the new season. I'm going to be hopeful until it all goes wrong after a couple of weeks. But I'll remain hopeful before we start. And one area where people like to remain hopeful is this time of season. Everyone is preparing their fantasy Premier League teams. Everyone loves a good fantasy Premier League fantasy football battle. We had, I think, was it last week, Charles? We had. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe fantasy football team names. We had the classic fantasy football team names.
I set off your Alexa.
Charles set off my Alexa. What was it you were singing? I can't remember.
Cry Me a River.
Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake.
Cry Me a River.
And set off. I'm not going to say it because I'll set it off again, but live on the podcast. But if you like fantasy football and you are part of fantasy football and you want to test yourself against the brilliant minds of our podcast, then you can do. You can do, because here it is, the Absolute Football Podcast Fantasy Premier League code is down there. So take a note of that. If you do like a bit of FPL, come and join us. But I've put this up as well because we're going to play a little FPL game in terms of, we've talked about transfer values, but do you know your FPL values of certain players? And we're going to go, no. It's Charlotte versus Dan here. We've got 3 rounds to go through. Points mean, well, they don't mean prizes. They mean winners here because I've got no prizes. Make your own prize. And we're going to start with you, Charlotte, I think.
Oh, no.
Yes, we are. So you have 10 Arsenal players here, okay? Can you see the screen?
I need to make it bigger. My eyesight is so bad. Right, here we go.
Okay, so you've got on the screen here, you've got 10 Arsenal players, okay, and you've got 10 values, and you've got to pick the right value to the player in terms of how much they cost in this year's Fantasy Premier League team. So across the top, you've got 8.5 million, you've got 8 million, you've got 7.5 million, 7 million, you've got 3 players at 5.5 million, and 3 players at 5 million, and you get a point for each one that is correct. So the players that we have for selection: Kai Havertz, Jorginho, Gabriel Martinelli, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Emil Smith-Rowe, new signing Julian Timber, Leandro Trossard, and Alexander Zinchenko. Does it make sense? Is the first question.
Yeah, no, it does make
Yeah.
sense.
Good.
It does make sense.
So where are you thinking in that list, Joe, in terms of... My tip would be start from the top and the bottom when I was looking at this, and then come to the middle. Who you think is the most expensive player and who you think is the least expensive?
I'm torn with the most expensive, because doesn't it also go off the season previously and whether they've performed as well?
That can affect their value. Some have gone up and some
Yeah.
have gone down from last season. Yeah.
I'm going to actually go with, sorry, I'm going to really mix it up here. I'm going to go for Jorginho.
Jorginho, right, okay.
And, I'm torn whether it's 5 or 5.5. I'm going to go with 5.5.
5.5 million for Jorginho. So that will, that puts him in the middle, yeah. Jorginho. We've got we've got some new players in there as well. They're always difficult to price. And think about outputs as well, like what players can score off of.
Right. So is it me doing all of these?
This is you're on Arsenal, right. And then Dan's on.
I'm going to go with right. Oh, I'm torn. I think the highest ones out of them all are going to be Havertz, because I just think obviously with him being Chelsea and obviously he's an attacker, I think Havertz, Rice, and Saka are going to be the top ones.
Okay.
Martinelli, I think, will be one of the top ones as well.
See, Graham's in the chat. This is tense stuff. He wasn't prepared for this.
I know.
It's just I need some background music for this segment.
Right, I'm actually going to go for... But yeah.
Crimea River's a good shout.
I'm going to go with Bukayo Saka being the top one at 8.5.
So Bukayo Saka at 8.5. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Then I'm going to go with... Oh, this is hard. This is really hard. Rice, Martinelli, or Havertz. Which one's going to be 8? Which one's going to be 8? This is really tense.
It's tricky business.
This is tricky. I think they're definitely going to be the top ones anyway. 8, I am going to go for... I know. I'm going to go with Martinelli.
She's got Martinelli at 8. Okay.
Yeah. Then I'm going to go Rice, 7.5.
Got some expensive Rice at 7.5. Yeah.
Then I'm going to go with Havertz, 7.
Havertz at 7. Okay.
So is that all them ones done? Because I put Jorginho Dene at 5.5.
And you got Jorginho at 5.5. She got 2 5.5s and 3 5 millions. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Timber. 5.5.
5.5 for Timber.
Oh, this is hard now. Trossard or Saliba. I'm going to go with Saliba.
Saliba, what, at 5.5?
Yeah, and then the others I'm going to go with 5. And I know I'm totally probably wrong, but...
So that leaves you with Trossard at 5.
Yeah.
Zinchenko at 5.
And Smith-Rowe at 5.
Smith-Rowe at 5, right. Are you ready to reveal those values?
I'm not.
Ta-da! So we'll go what you had at the top. So first up, you had Jorginho at 5.5. Correct. That's a point, Char, for Jorginho. You had Saka top with 8.5. That's a point as well. Another point for Martinelli at 8 million. Now, Declan Rice. I don't know. Have I even put Declan Rice on here? I don't know if I have. Where has Declan Rice gone? Have I put a different player on here?
You put Trossard in twice.
That's what it is. Declan Rice is 5. Declan Rice is the second Trossard.
Is he on the 5?
Trossard number 2. Yeah, Declan Rice was cheap.
No way.
Because he's a defensive midfielder, I think.
Yeah, true.
That's what's cost him. So Rice is, so there's no points for Rice. Havertz, you were close, 7.5 million. You had 7 million.
Yeah.
Jurriën Timber's at 5, not 5.5. Saliba is at 5.5. So you get a point for Saliba. Trossard, the real Trossard, was actually at 7, so no, that's not. He's not allowed.
Damn.
Zinchenko at 5 million is a point, but Smith Rowe was 5.5, so not Smith Rowe. So there you go. So Jorginho,
not bad, Char, not bad.
5 out of 10. That's a good start. That's a very good start.
Could have done better.
It's a very good start. Chris was pretty sure that Rice is cheap. Depends where you shop, of course.
Yeah.
And Graham, I'm still upset we haven't got Paqueta and Rice on the same team anymore. Midfield duo that needs to be together. Paqueta with Rice. Yeah, we're going to miss that, West Ham. So, Dan, you're up next. And, of course, we're starting for you with the only team we could start with, your beloved Burnley, which, although it is your team, is tough because you haven't got last season's values to go off of because everyone's got a new price. So you've got 4 different values. You've got 3 at 5.5 million. You have got 4 at 5 million, 2 at 4.5 million, and 1 at 4 million. Your players are Zeki Amdouni, Emmanuel Benson, Jordan Bayer, Josh Brownhill, Arajanet Muric, Mikel Obafemi, Nathan Redmond, Vitinho, the legendary Wout Weghorst, and Anas Zaroury.
Surprised somebody's, thought about Weghorst is anything above 4 million, to be honest. Going off that, I'm looking at players like Manuel Benson, Brownhill, Bayer, and Anas Zaroury that have probably stuck out last season for Burnley, so they could potentially be the higher valued players, with them being standouts. Just on Benson's former loan at the back end of the season, I'm going to say that he's one of the 5.5s, Manuel Benson.
Benson 5.5, okay. 5.5 million. Manuel Benson.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of new players in there as well.
Yeah, the Amdouni one's throwing me because he's just had a recently good European tournament. So whether that gets taken into account as well, I think he was in the team of the under 21 Euros as well up front. Mm-hmm. So whether that gets taken into account, I'll put Amdouni as torn between 4.5 and 5. I'll put him at 5. I'll put him at 5. Bayer. Just trying to think because Anas Zaroury in there as well. But defenders, again, it's like you said with Rice, defenders could sort of be a bit.
You've got to look at position on as well, yeah.
I'll put. There's only one at 4. But I'll go Bayer 4.5.
Bayer 4.5, okay.
Brownhill. He's had his ears pinned back as well during the summers, Brownhill. Don't know why. Hopefully that helps him run a little bit faster. Maybe.
Yeah. That's it. When they pin the horses back, you'll be laughing.
Don't mention horses around Blackburn fans. I'll go for a solid 5 for Brownhill.
Brownhill at 5, okay.
Muric position-wise of 4.5.
4.5 million for Muric.
I'm trying to think which ones I've still got left.
So you've got, so in terms of value, so at the minute you've knocked off 2 5 millions and 2 4.5 million. So your 4.5 millions are done. You've got 2 5 millions left and 2 5.5 millions and a 4 million.
I'll stick Obafemi in as a 5 then, because that's like a roundish number. And then this is where it gets a bit tough. Vitinho, Redmond, Weghorst, and Anasaurore. It wouldn't surprise me if Weghorst has got a big score because he played in the Premier League last year.
I was going to say that.
I'm going to stick my neck out after all the slagging off I've given him and give him a 5.5. Just because he's played in the Premier League and played for Manchester United, and is an attacker, that would certainly help. Which means I've got.
Means you've got one. What have you got left? So you've got 3 more to pick. So you've got 1 5 million. You've got 4 million, and you've got a 5.5 million.
4, I'll go Redmond. 5 million Zaroury, and whatever's left for Vitinho.
Vitinho at 5.5.
Oh shit! No, swap Anas and Vitinho around.
Vitinho, there we go. 5 million for Vitinho. Right. Are we ready for the reveal? The big reveal is here. And here we go. So, right off the top, you had Manuel Benson at 5.5 million. Correct. That is a point. Spot on. You've got as well. And Dooney, you had him at 5 million. He's up at 5.5 million. They've rated him at.
Yes.
So no points there. Bayer actually at 4 million. Bayer is very cheaply priced this season at 4 million. So no points there. Brownhill spot on with 5 million. Point for that one. Muric is 4.5. Another point there. Michael Obafemi at 5 million. Another point there. Vouty Weghorst at 5.5 million. Another point for Weghorst.
Bloody hell.
Points everywhere. Nathan Redmond, unfortunately, no, 5 million, not 4 million. And Anasaurore was 5 million, not 5.5. And Vitinho was 4.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 as well. So it's 5 out of 10. So it couldn't be. It's evenly matched. I'm going to do 2. We're going to do. This is going to be the last round. So we do all 3. This might take longer than I'd planned in preparation. So we're just going to do the next round, but it's all to play for here. So Charlotte, you're up next again, and this time.
My God.
For a minute, I thought you were going to give a Rochdale.
Actually, no, we won't do Chelsea actually because we've got better options there, and I've not even put that person's name in. I couldn't be bothered. Cat, I don't know who he is. I don't think that's right him. Couldn't even be bothered to finish his name. That's how good he was. So we'll ignore Chelsea, and we're going to come straight through to Liverpool. We'll go to Liverpool. So you've got 2 8 millions, 2 7.5 millions, a 7, a 6.5, 2 6 millions, a 5.5 million, a 5 million. And your players are Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, Harvey Elliott, Cody Gakpo, Diogo Jota, Alexis McAllister, Darwin Núñez, Andrew Robertson, Dominic Szoboszlai, and Virgil van Dijk.
I've never heard of Dominic Szoboszlai.
He's the new midfielder that's got everyone in Liverpool excited.
I've heard of his name on the slide, but not, all the rest of it.
Oh, look at that. He's got it. Oh, you never lose it.
I never had it.
5 million. This is a tough one.
It's tricky because there's a lot of interchangeable. Liverpool was difficult because they've got midfielders and forwards that play in different positions on the game and real life. So their pricing is always difficult to guess.
I'm gonna go with Núñez and Gakpo as my 8s.
Núñez and Gakpo as 8. Okay.
Bloody hell. I'm really bad at this game. Do I go... I'm trying to think goalkeepers because I don't think they're that expensive, but I think the top class ones can be quite a bit, can't they?
Yeah.
So I don't think Alisson would be 5.
He's a bit older than that.
Do I go Jota or do I do Harvey Elliott?
He's not quite Emi Martinez in it on a table, but he's all right.
He's all right.
I'm actually going to go with Harvey Elliott as a 5.
Harvey Elliott as a 5. Okay.
That's not a bad shout.
5.5. 5.5. I'll go. Do I go Alisson? Or is it going to be a bit more? No, do you know what? I'll go Alisson.
Alisson, you can see the stress and the deliberation.
I'm really confused now. I don't even know what I've done and what I've not done. 6 million. I'm going to go with Van Dijk.
Van Dijk at 6 million. Well, both of your 8s and your bottom 2 have gone as well. So you're left between 7.5 million and 6 million. You said Van Dijk 6 million, didn't you?
Yeah. And do I go with Robertson? But then again, that guy's not played, has he? But he's a midfielder. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Right, 7.5s. I'm going to go with Trent.
Trent at 7.5.
Because I just think he can play midfield as well, can't he?
Been announced as assistant captain today as well, isn't he?
Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't
Klopp
even know.
Gave it to him on the side of the pitch, I think, before they're playing a friendly tonight. I think there was video of it. I think announcing that he was going to be their assistant captain.
Who have they actually done, Sam?
Who have you done? What in terms of players?
Have I done McAllister?
No, you've got McAllister, Jota, Robertson.
Have I not done Robertson?
Szoboszlai.
Oh shit. Put McAllister as a 7.5.
McAllister 7.5. Okay.
Put Jota as a 7.
Yeah.
What amounts and what players have I got left? I'm just totally winging this.
What have you got left? So you've got money-wise, you've got a 6.5.
Yeah.
And you've got another 6 million player.
Oh.
And you've got left Robertson and Szoboszlai.
That balls this up.
Char's got a poker face on here.
Do you know what? Just pick for me. I don't know because I know I've got it all wrong.
Char's gone into Spa and gone, can I have a look at it?
I've totally got this wrong.
Whatever's in your manager's trolley this week, it's...
Just go with the new guy as 6.5 and Robertson as 6 because I've totally got this one completely wrong. And if I've got any of them right, I'll actually be shocked.
There we go. Let's click the reveal button, and we have here. So you went Darwin Núñez at 8, but he's 7.5.
Wow.
Cody Gakpo is at 7.5 as well. So you just missed out on Cody Gakpo. You got Harvey Elliott at 5 million, so that's a point.
Got one.
Hey. Alisson at 5.5 million. That's another point.
Woo.
Virgil van Dijk at 6 million. Another point.
Woo.
Points are flying. Trent at 7.5. Not quite.
No.
McAllister at 7.5. No, he's at 6. Jota at 7. No, he's at 8. And then you had Andrew Robertson at 6.5. No, he's at 6. You had him at 6, so that's not right. And Szoboszlai is at 7 million, not 6.5.
I weren't that far off, to be fair, on some of them. I weren't that far off. So I'll take that.
You got 3 out of 10, I'm afraid to say. So there's 3 to beat, Dan. And I'm umming and ahhing which one I'm going to give you. I'll let Shah pick. Shah can pick which team you get. She's got Manchester United or Newcastle.
It's a Luton. I'm joking.
You've got Blythe Spartans. Blythe Spartans. Are you ready?
No, I don't mind. You can let him pick. Honestly, I don't mind.
Go on then. As it's next on the clicker, I'll go to Newcastle. I thought it was going to be Man United. It's not. So Newcastle, you have the figures of 8 million, 7.5 million, 2 6.5 millions, a 6 million, 2 5.5 millions, a 5 million, a 4.5 million, and a 4 million. So pretty big spread. And you have new signing Harvey Barnes, Sven Botman, Dan Burn, Anthony Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes, Alexander Isak, Fabian Schär, Sandro Tonali, Kieran Trippier, and Callum Wilson.
Oh.
Graham says this is more stressful than watching a penalty shootout.
I completely agree with Graham. Like, yeah.
I'm going to try and do it on number value. 8 million. I'm torn between Bruno or Wilson.
Tricky business. It's a tricky business, this FPL. Say what Dan's thinking. Don't forget to join our league. I'll throw the thing up at the end as well because we want some more people to join in with our Fantasy Premier League this year.
Nobody wants to join because it's too stressful.
Yeah, fortunately, picking your team is a lot less stressful. Well, it's not actually.
Yeah,
it's not.
Honest to God, I was just looking at the internet signal in the corner. It's literally flashing like mad. And I'm like, oh my God, like couldn't have come at a worse time. No, I'm gonna go Callum Wilson for 8, just with him being an attacker, over him and Bruno. 7.5. That's got to be. Oh shit! Isak is in there as well. I'll give the big lanky Swede the 7.5.
7.5 to Isak.
There's 2 6.5s.
Tricky.
I'm gonna go
new players in there as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Harvey Barnes was a standout attacking player for Leicester last season. I'll give a 6.5 to Barnes and Bruno.
6.5 to Barnes and Bruno.
So then Kieran Trippier a 6.
6 for Kieran Trippier.
2 5.5s. Anthony Gordon's probably got to be one of them because he's quite attacking.
Gordon at 5.5.
Is Tonali the one that they've just signed?
Yeah.
Centre midfielder from
he was going to be my other 5.5. Tonali. I just think that he being a midfielder, the rest are pretty much defenders. So 5 million. I'll go 5 million Sven Botman, 4.5. You know what? Because we've got Schär in here, we'll put Schär higher up than a Burn. Which by the end of this quiz, who knows who's going to win?
You know, it's going to bite you on the ass now. I'm going to
It is. I've tried to be nice, and I'll just be walking away with my head down like
You're going to get burned.
You're going to get burned by Schär.
You're going to get burned.
Dan has been burned.
By Schär. So you're going. If I got this right, you're going Burn at 4 million, Schär at 4.5. You say?
Yeah.
And then that leaves you with your final 5.5 being Tonali.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. So here we go. Is there enough? Is there more than 3 points here?
I'm looking at the bottom now.
Is there more than 3 points? So Here we go. So, Callum Wilson, 8 million. Yeah, point. Isak, 7.5 million. Yeah, point. Harvey Barnes, 6.5 million. That's a point. Bruno at 6.5 you had. No, he's at 6, so close.
I think it's only 6.
And Trippier was 6. Trippier was one of the highest point scorers last season because of his set pieces as well. Yeah. Set pieces are a big one. And a lot of clean sheets as well, of course. Anthony Gordon, 5.5, a point. Sandro Tonali, a point. You put Schär too low. Schär was higher than where you put her. She was a 5 million. Fabian Schär, 5 million. You had 4.5. So that's no points. Botman was 4.5 and you had 5. But you did get Dan Burns. So there we go.
Damn, I got Dan Burns.
So that was 7 out of 10. So Dan, congratulations. You are FPL.
That was good. Well done.
FPL champion. Congratulations.
That's the first time I will ever be called that. So I will be clipping that part, by the way, and using it at the end of the season when I say that the league doesn't matter. Stop the count. I already won it before a ball was kicked. Done.
Our nonsense preseason game is more important than any FPL league you could join. Although if you do want to join an FPL league, here is the code. So come and join us and play it.
Get on it.
And we'll keep you updated how it's going on during the season because, as we've heard, Lucas is a bit of a football fantasy Premier League shark, so he tells us. He's the one to beat, so he's laid down the challenge to everybody.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait. I'm going to do a random one for my first one. Then game week 1, look at his team, play my wild card and copy his team.
just copy.
All of us do exactly that.
Yeah. Come on, the crab copycats. That's going to be as we just follow him during the season. This is it. And until it's all just bravado, and we find out actually he's got no idea, and we're all sat at the bottom, miles adrift of everybody else.
At least it'll be close.
It'll be a challenge, if nothing else. We will have a fun time, which is what it's all about on the Absolute Football Podcast. But I think we've reached our conclusion. We've had a lot of fun tonight. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We always love having you on. Really appreciate it. And we hope you're all looking forward to the new season. For those of those people who don't follow you, which I can't believe people aren't following Dan, where can they come and follow you and support what you're up to?
Everywhere but OnlyFans. Literally, I just, around your local skip, I'll be there. Anywhere. I'm just, I'm a social media whore bag. Just come at me when you need me. Turf Morehouse or Turf Morehouse TV on all socials. And I'll be there. I'm a one-man band, so hit me up.
Top man, definitely do go and give Dan and show him your love and your follows. And of course, Charlotte, we know the whole world is following you, but just in case there's one person that doesn't, where can they find you?
Most likely here, whether it's on this, whether it's a light bite, whether it's a lower league show. So I'm pretty much always on here. But my socials are SharXRAFC. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I've got it. Everyone else did. So I thought, do you know what? I'll jump on that bandwagon. And there. And if you want to follow my Her Game 2 stuff, because obviously Rochdale season's coming to an open on Saturday, so that's Rochdale HGT on all them socials, and there's always some really good stuff on that, so please check it out.
Magic stuff, certainly do. I'm up there from Ducks again. You can follow me on all the socials. I'm threading occasionally, whatever that means or whatever it may be. But it sounds more positive than Xing these days, so who knows where the future's going to be. None of us are really too sure.
Twitter on X, sorry.
We're not allowed. Are we not allowed to use that as the brand died? Who knows? We're all so confused. You can, of course, still follow the Absolute Football Podcast on Twitter or X or Elon's toy, whatever you want to call it. We are at Absolute Ball Pod. On TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. On Instagram, we are Absolute Football Podcast _. And on Facebook, we are the Absolute Football Podcast. And of course, Threads, we are the Absolute Football Podcast as well. You can find us there. Thank you, everybody, to join us. We thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to Graham. Great show. Everybody really enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Kate. Thank you to everybody who was in with us. And we hope that you will join us soon. Next week's very exciting because it's going to be our Premier League preview week because we're getting there. We've covered all these transfers and finally we can start to almost get to talk about some actual football that's going on. So we're hoping to get most of the team together next week. Will be exciting. Check out the Lower League podcast if you haven't already, and take it easy. And we will catch you on the next one. See you later.